I don't know if it's just my timeline or if everybody is getting the same kind of thing, but I have been inundated with like this Jim Jones and Nas thing for a couple weeks now. And like I was gonna speak about it, but there was other things going on, so I didn't. But it's still in my timeline, so I just wanted to real quick just touch on it real quick. Being as though I am a student of hip hop, right? I'm gonna just say this. At first, what Jim said, well, the first thing that he said about the numbers, like men lie, women lie, numbers don't. He was wrong. He was mistaken. I believe that I've seen at least once or twice where he addressed that, and he's still talking his shit. And understand one thing in hip hop, that's a given. Like if you don't feel like you are the dopest MC, the dopest one doing it, then why are you doing it? You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, I understand his bravado, right? I also think, honestly, I think that he's trolling. Like I think that he understands how attention works. He understands how social media works, and because he is still in the game, so to speak, he has had to adapt, you know, from where what we used to do to garner attention and to get our projects out there. He's had to kind of, you know, break away from that and step into the realm of social media and clickbait and thriving on comments and all of that. So I think a large part of this whole conversation is indeed that. I don't think that I know he does not think that he could out rap Nasir Jones. Like that's insanity. I know that man don't believe that. Like there's no way. One of the things that I do feel is not being discussed enough in this subject is what sparked it, right? What sparked it was a young dude, like I think the kid was like 23 years old, right? And this young kid said that Jim Jones is more relevant than Nas, right? And Joe Budden said it best. It's nothing wrong with what a 23-year-old says because they're 23. You know what I'm saying? Not all 23-year-olds are like my sons, where they've been exposed to literally all sorts of music and definitely all sorts of hip hop. So I'm not mad at that, right? And there is definitely truth to that, because look at it like this. How we perceive relevance is our ability to know somebody, right? Jim Jones has managed to keep his name constantly coming out because of things like reality television, right? And because of that, and because of his antics on reality television, right, the younger generation had something to latch on to, whereas Nas has never been about that kind of life, even when social media first came out and before social media. If he got to say something, he's going in the booth and he's going to let it out for the world to hear. You know what I'm saying? I think that people like Jimmy have had to find other ways to remain relevant. You know what I mean? And in that regard, I will say that as far as definitely as far as the young people go, but as far as being notable, right, and people being able to recognize you, I think that the youth is going to recognize Jim Jones because of reality television and his antics. And on top of that, he's still, you know, repping the whole, you know, the set and all of that. So all of that kind of resonates because it all really ties into the street level hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You got damn near every rapper right now is talking about some type of gang affiliation or whatever the case may be. Jimmy was one of the first to do that, so he's kind of grandfathered in. However, if you know me, you know with me it's about hip hop, right? I'm not gonna say that Jim Jones don't have songs. I don't know a lot of Jim Jones songs. I honestly, I don't know a lot of Jim Jones songs. Ballin' was his biggest joint, period. There's no, like, whatever other songs he may have had that I don't know about, none of them reached the level of Ballin'. And the reality is Jay's version of Ballin' is better than Jim's. And that's not even a shot at Jim. It's just because Jay is a better rapper, just like Nas is a better rapper. And for the record, right, I want to just say this. Jay-Z is my favorite MC, right? And there's other MCs that come above him, but they was before him, right? As far as relevance now, Jay is my favorite MC. Jay lost to Nas. Understand that. This is how good this dude Nas is. Jay, who is the illest, lost the battle to Nas because he took a misstep. Understand that. If Nas were to engage, there would be no room for Jimmy. Period. He would get absolutely. He would be more embarrassed if Nas were to respond, because the song, the verse that was released, that was leaked rather, that they were saying that he recorded with Raekwon, that wasn't apparently to Jim. If Nas were to go at Jim, it would obliterate him. It would obliterate him because Nas understands the art of war when it comes to battle. Jimmy, he may have a couple punchlines. He's gonna make some dope boy references, and we all love that. Like, there's a place for Jimmy's music. I'm not saying that he's irrelevant or whack or weak or nothing. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him at all. He has definitely solidified his own space in hip hop. For him to say that he could out rap Nas is just blasphemy, right? Because they're not comparable. Here's an analogy, and again, this is definitely not me disrespecting Jimmy, because I rock with Jim Jones music. You know what I mean? Some of it at least. And I'm not talking about his level of lyricism or Nas's level of lyricism in this analogy. I'm talking about just what their appeal is, right? Jim Jones is Dr. Seuss, right? Very good at what he does, understands his audience, and is able to communicate with his audience in a manner that is stood the test of time, right? High selling, all of the things, right? He's an author, a writer, good at what he does. Has his pocket, stays in that lane, right? Nas is Shakespeare, right? Again, I'm not talking about lyricism. I'm just talking about where they are in regards to hip hop. Nas is Shakespeare. Again, has stood the test of time, knows his audience, has remained relevant, storytelling, all of the things, right? The difference is Shakespeare is studied by intellectuals. Shakespeare has a place in higher education, right? Nas is studied in college courses. His lyrics are broken down, not just because of the words, but the cadence. Like, everything is analyzed in a Nas verse, or as far as his repertoire goes. Jimmy, cat in the hat, right? And I'm not trying to play him and say that his wordplay is weaker or childish or anything like that, or immature. What I'm saying is that while there are two people doing the exact same things, one is doing it at such a high level that somebody like Jim looks like an author for children's books, right? And that really kind of goes into the idea of who Jimmy's music resonates with, right? And again, not trying to play him or nothing, but the people who are not going to sit back, smoke a L, maybe take a sip of something and listen to an album, those are the people that Jim can't communicate with, right? Jim's music is for the people that's maybe hitting the gym, maybe getting ready to hit the club, might be in the club, might be going to handle some kind of street business, right? This is the kind of motivation that Jim gives. Whereas Nas is gonna have you sitting back and thinking, and that I understand, especially nowadays, that's not for everybody, and that's okay. That's okay. Everybody does not have to listen to music for the lyricism, right? My only point is that Jim, if he is not trolling and he really thinks that he is a better MC than Nas, he's delusional. He's delusional. The difference between Nas and Jim Jones, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna end the video. The difference between Nas and Jimmy is a rapper. He could rap. I'm not like he could rap. I did a little bit of research on him because, like I said, I'm not too familiar with his body of work, right? Boy could rap. Nas is an MC. There is a very, very big difference. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a video on the difference between a rapper and an MC. This way, at least y'all that do watch me, y'all could get a little bit more of an understanding as to how music or rap, hip hop computes in my brain. So anyway, with that said, let me know what y'all think. I think that Jimmy is trolling. I think that if he's not trolling, he needs to stay in his lane and understand that he is nowhere near a Nas. And I honestly don't ever see that he could be a Nas kind of MC. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know I said it, the last thing I said was gonna be the last thing, but I heard him say that he wants smoke with anybody from his era. Dude, do you remember who was rapping when you was popping, my dude? Like Nas and Jay, we already know, right? But like people like Jadakiss and Styles P, people like Lupe Fiasco, dog. People like Andre 3000. These people were rapping when you was rapping. They are from your peer group. You don't want smoke with people like that. You don't even want to smoke with people like Remy Ma. Keep it a buck. You like, come on, bro. Like, I mean, I'm just saying. Anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'll see y'all in a minute. Peace.